Rev up your engines!
Well, Ford's not reopened the orders for their Mach-E. You know, they had a problem in production. They shut the line down for a while. And there's a price reduction to about $3,500 per car. Here comes all the, asterisks, the disclaimers. Well, Ford said that now the Mustang Mach-E may qualify for half of the federal tax credits. I mean, this stuff is so couched in insanity, right? And realize, all their standard range models are having the lithium iron batteries instead of the lithium ion. The lithium iron phosphate batteries are cheaper to make. They weigh more, they have less energy, but what are they going for? Cheapness. All I have to say is, don't say I didn't warn you. They keep telling you, oh, well, they'll make batteries that'll last longer and longer. Those don't have as much energy as the lithium ion, but they're cheaper to make. And the funny thing is, they say, well, these are better batteries. Yeah, because it's cheaper than to manufacture them. That's one of the main reasons they're doing it. It has nothing to do with better. And the funny thing is, they're lithium iron phosphates. The lithium ion batteries actually have less lithium than the lithium iron. So they act like, oh, iron, there's a lot of iron around the planet, right? Yeah, well, guess what? You're still going to have a lithium shortage. Nobody ever talks about this stuff, some of the scientists do, and I read them, but they rest, oh yeah, it's a better idea. Look, it's working better. About batteries that don't have as much power, that weigh more, but they're cheaper to make, baby. They're cheaper to make, right? Well, you gotta say, Ford's been making bad decisions for quite some time. In the last 12 months, Ford stocks dropped about 18%, and it isn't that high to begin with. Look, the stock's only $11.65. It tanked a long time ago, and it's never really ever come back. And with all the quality control Ford has, to me, you can just see it's endemic to the company because they keep saying now, we got to make quality better. We got to make quality better. So where do they make the Mustang Mach-E's? In Mexico, a country known for poor quality. Well, why did they do that? The same reason they're using the lithium iron phosphate batteries, because it's cheaper to make things in Mexico, just like it's cheaper to make the lithium iron phosphate batteries. They talk about, oh, we're going to make quality better. No, they aren't. They're just making things as cheap as they possibly can and then try to foist it upon the public as, oh, this is a better thing. No, it isn't. It's not a better thing. It's not technologically better. It's a step backwards. You make batteries that weigh more, hold less energy, but they're cheaper to make. It's great for the company. It's cheaper to make. But for you, you're getting a lower quality battery. John says, should I buy a Pontiac G6? I found a cheap 125,000 miles, not much rust. Are they okay? Is it worth the buy? It's a very simple engine. What you really want to pay attention to, though, is the automatic transmission. That's the weakest point in a G6. It shifts good? Go ahead. What the heck, 125,000 miles? They can last quite a bit longer than that. You said it doesn't have too much rust. Obviously, you're up north somewhere. And what the heck, if it's cheap enough and it runs, why not, it's not the greatest car in the world, but they weren't complete total crap. But they do have weak automatic transmissions, so you want to drive at least half an hour. Some of them, they won't act up until they get hot. So drive it at least half an hour on the highway so it gets nice and hot. And if it starts slipping and acting up, then don't buy the stupid thing. Fast Car 329 says, should I buy cheap Walmart spark plugs? Spark plugs from online Walmart AC Delco cost only $2.25 for spark plug. Are they any good? Well, they're AC Delco. They should be perfectly fine. Realize all you care about is the brand. Right? As long as it's real and it's not fake. I've seen people buy stuff and they say it's AC Delco. Delco spelled D-E-L-C-O. Well, I've seen Chinese made ones and they say D-E-L-K-O. They spelled it wrong. They're not real. But Walmart buys in volumes. So you're buying from a company that buys in volumes. Get the same ones. Who cares? Same thing as buying engine oil. Do not waste your money and go to an auto parts store and buy engine oil. Buy a nice 5-quart synthetic oil. It might be $39, $49 at the auto parts store, right? You can generally get the same thing online for 20-something bucks or even less. It's the same company selling you the same oil. Make sure it's the same name on the bottle, right? But they just have markups in stores that they don't have online, and Walmart is so big they can sell things at a cheaper price. And of course, you say you're buying them online, so they don't have to mess around with their store either. They're selling it to you direct, so they don't have the overhead of the store there. No, it's perfectly fine to buy it. Damien, who says, Scotty, which is the worst to best out of these three vehicles? 2019 Range Rover Sport, 2019 Alfa Romeo Stelvio or 2019 Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon? Which is better and which is worse? Okay, well, I'll start with the worst. The worst would probably be Alfa Romeo. That company's been on the verge of bankruptcy forever. I've had customers with Alfa Romeos. They were rolling piles of crap. The parts cost a fortune. They were broke all the time. The company was always on the verge of bankruptcy, but for some reason, they keep bringing them back. I don't know. People have weird ideas. The second worst would be the Range Rover Sport. Those things are endless money pits. They're overpriced. And they have a horrible history of breakdowns and horrible resale value because of it, right? And the last one would be the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. Now, the G-Wagon's a Gladenwagen, which means people mover, okay? They cost a fortune. If you ask any Mercedes mechanic, to a man, they will say that's probably the worst vehicle they ever made. Overpriced, giant monstrosities, expensive to maintain, and they break all the time, right? All of them are overpriced. I wouldn't buy any of them, of course, but truthfully, from worst to best, that's what it would be in that realm of vehicles. Because I wouldn't buy any of them. They're all overpriced, but that is true. The worst would be the Italian, for sure. Skid McMarxus, what do you think about 2023 Subaru Outback 2.5 H4 Touring as a purchase? Is that the engine expecting of trouble-free motoring for 15 years? The four-cylinder ones never touch a six-cylinder Subaru. Their engines have been nothing but problems as they age over time. I've never seen one go 15 years out without the engine going, right? The four-cylinder engines are good. They don't blow head gases like they used to, but there's a giant disclaimer. You're talking about 15 years. It's notorious that a bunch of those engines now are leaking oil. Because of their design, they have the engine, they got the boxer heads, then they got another piece for the cam and another piece for the valve cover, and there's gaskets between all those parts. Well, there used to be gaskets between the parts, but Subaru saved money in building them. Instead of using gaskets on all those parts, they use silicone sealant. Fine. Until it gets old. The sealant dries up, cracks, and leaks. You price what it costs to fix oil leaks on those things, and when they age, they start leaking oil. It costs a fortune. Just because the company, to make them cheaper, to spend less money manufacturing them, is using silicone glue instead of gaskets. Now, when you got a big company, you're making bunches of cars, if you use gaskets, you have to have the gaskets made. They all got to be waiting in line as they're building the cars. Well, guess what? If you got a guy with a glue gun, instead of having to have all that backdated gaskets and all the inventory, got a glue gun. Put it together. Put it together. It's a cheaper way of making them, and it works for a while, but when they age, the oil leaks. You ask any Subaru mechanic that understands these cars, he'll tell you the same thing. They don't blow head gaskets anymore, but they leak oil when they age because they use the stupid glue instead of gaskets when they build them. So long term, I don't think they'd last 15. They'll start leaking oil. Dave says, Scotty, have you ever drifted in what car? Well, when I was young, and you're going to laugh your butt off at that, it was an Austin Healey. Oh, British sports car my friend had, right? Because they were rear-wheel drive, and we did it in Niagara Falls, mainly in the winter on the ice and snow, because then it's really fun, and you're not hurting anything. I'm a cheapskate. I don't like ruining cars. Drifting a car on dry pavement is one of the worst things for destroying your car, right? But if you do it on ice and snow, and it's wide open, you don't hit anything, you're not really hurting the car all that much. So we did it in the ice and snow, and I did it in Austin Healey. My old friend Mark Patterson had one. We used to screw around with that thing all the time. He's gone, the car's gone, but I'm still here. Larry Salvatore says, Scotty, 2 weeks ago I put a new battery in my 04 Lexus 330. Since then, the climate control's off and I'm getting random warning lights appearing and disappearing. You never know what's going to happen when you put a battery in. I would reset the whole car. Now, you can pay a mechanic like me to do it with our fancy machines. You get a little scan tool that says reset codes, go ahead. That doesn't reset the whole thing. Only really expensive scan tools like I have that cost anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000 do that. You can do a similar thing yourself. You can disconnect the battery, turn the headlights on. That will drain all the capacitors, right? Do that for 20 minutes. With everything turned off, put the cables back on, get your alarm, turn the alarm off, then start it and see what happens. That might reset it, so that all that stuff will go away. It's worthwhile. If not, see a guy like me with the machine to set it all off. Sometimes they get a little squirrely. Then you got to manually reset the stuff. Deb Johnson says, if your person has 35 to 40 grand to spend on a new car to make a wise decision, what would you buy? All right, well, I wouldn't even spend that kind of money because I'm a cheapskate, right? I looked the other day because around here on the East Coast, people drive like animals. And I have many people coming here that say, oh, I had to get this car because my other car got rear-ended, got side-scraped, got T-boned by these moronic drivers around down here, right? So I thought, well, what if somebody hits our car? What am I going to do? I looked, and I found for about 25 grand, I could get a nice Toyota Corolla hatchback, and that's what I would buy. Or maybe a Corolla Cross or something. You don't have to spend that much money. Now, if you want to spend that much money, you could go higher up. You could get a fancier, say, Camry or a Honda Accord or something like that. Those are excellent vehicles. But you can spend less, depending on what you want to get size-wise. I happen to like our Matrix because it's got nice size. We can put 2 folding bicycles in it, go anywhere in the country, and then ride our bicycles around. It's kind of cool for that. You can put a lot of crap, carry them around there. They're great vehicles. So I'd probably go for a Toyota Corolla hatchback or a Toyota Corolla Cross, something that I can fit 2 folding bicycles in when I put the seats down, and still is a nice car that gets good gas mileage. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.